Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Double Play CLE. Paul here alongside Jay.
The King of Kings.
Yeah, I'm still not calling it that. And we are joined by our good friend, the master of the 412, Jeff Kirby.
The 412 is not the master of winning, apparently.
It's been rough for you guys, but we'll get to that in a minute because it is Victory Monday, which means that your Cleveland Browns, who sit at 8-5 in the top wild card, won over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Wow. Can we just say wow a lot tonight? Because this is amazing. The Cleveland Browns have had 4 different starting quarterbacks win in the 2023 campaign. And not only are they capable of winning, they're doing it at a high level. They are knocking on the door of one of the better seasons in the last 30 plus years that I can remember in Cleveland Browns history. Arguably the best season since they came back in 99. Your thoughts on a big win over the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Couple of big takeaways is the very first thing that we need to address before we go clapping ourselves and patting ourselves on the back. Great game. Joe Flacco had a great game. 311 yards, 3 touchdowns, right? He
had one interception.
He had a pick, whatever. That's fine. Great game from Joe Flacco. Myles Garrett only had 1 tackle. Okay, whatever. Biggest thing we need to talk about is the final score was what? 31-28?
31-27.
31-27. So we won by 4 points while forcing 4 turnovers.
Yeah, I guess you could go there. It is a little bit sus that we didn't quite blow the doors off.
Because Jacksonville is a playoff team. So
as of right now, they're the team we would face in the playoffs.
So I'm not going to be one of those Browns fan and take away from the win because we did win. We are 8-5. That's amazing. But I am also on the other side of that coin. I am one of those Browns fans that doesn't get excited when we're 8-5. There's still plenty of work to do. And if we are going to even discuss a potential deep playoff run, there's still a lot of work to do. And I mean, that can be said for literally any team. The Chiefs absolutely crumbled today. I don't know if anyone watched any of that.
It looked like Patrick Mahomes certainly crumbled. I've never seen him like that.
Well, it wasn't him. It was his receivers. Jeff, you better back me up on this.
Receivers are awful.
So, and they played the Bills, right?
Yes.
And the Bills aren't that consistently good of a team. Didn't they lose? They lost to the Jets, right?
Week 1, yeah.
They lost to someone they shouldn't have. I know that for sure.
They've had
a really up and down season this year.
Well, okay, so that's my whole point.
You could argue that Josh Allen has had the yips all season.
Well, you know what? Real quick, I'm going to say this. I feel like Josh Allen, he deserves some of the blame because of the turnovers, but he's been the reason why they're even relevant this year.
So that's just batting back to the fact that I do think we're right up there with the other teams. And I mean that as a very realistic looking, objective Browns fan, I feel like. Because if you're going to compare us to the best teams in the league right now, we beat San Francisco. Who the Eagles lost to, who the Eagles just lost again tonight. So I don't know if you would say this anymore, but you would have before tonight considered Philadelphia the best team in the league. Does anyone argue that?
I would have probably said still San Fran, but
you'd have those 3 right there at the top. You'd have San Francisco, Dallas, and Philadelphia as your top 3. Okay, it doesn't really matter the order at this point. You know they're the best.
The only one we've played, we've beaten. So yeah. I'm just saying, if you want to sit here and be like the Browns aren't that good of a team, that's fine. I'm not necessarily going to argue with you on that. but we are contenders. So
I mean, you can't be the number one wild card and not be at least a legitimate threat.
and on top of that, I texted this earlier in the group, and if everyone remembers how Joe Flacco won his ring, it was on the back of his defense, on the back of his all-star linebacker. So,
I'd personally disagree. I feel like, and this what I'm going to say will actually benefit Joe Flacco even more. Joe Flacco won them that Super Bowl. He was absolutely unbelievable in that playoff run. So I think it was more of Joe Flacco rather than the defense, which actually benefits probably an argument for Joe Flacco and the Browns.
I just think it's amazing that you've got all four teams in the AFC North. At one point during this day, we're all in the playoffs. If the playoffs started today, every team is not only in the hunt, but could be a threat, including your Pittsburgh Steelers, Jeff. And this is strange because we came into this season thinking that the AFC North was just going to be kind of like this gauntlet of misery where only one could survive. And it doesn't seem like that's the case. It seems like all four of us are going to be joining in the mix here once the calendar switches to January.
You know who I hate? I hate the Pittsburgh Steelers. and it's not just my normal, it's actually more of a compliment. It's actually more of a compliment because it's not just my normal, oh, I hate the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, Jeff, do you think the Steelers are a good football team right now?
No.
Okay.
Sorry. That was just like
I could go on a whole rant about them.
Neither do I. And what's their record?
7-6.
Okay.
And somehow the 6th seed.
7-6, and you've beaten the likes of the Browns. You've beaten the Bengals. Did you guys beat the Ravens?
Yes.
That's why I hate the Steelers. Like I don't like. That's just obnoxious. Like you guys are, and someone put it the best, and I don't necessarily think it's Tomlin anymore, but someone was like, those Steelers, they could win with a fucking group of high schoolers. I don't know how, but.
The funny thing to me is that Cincinnati is currently 0-4 in divisional play, and they're still not out of this thing.
You know what's crazy to me was it really Joe Burrow or was it the rest of the team? Because did Jake Browning come back in? I know he got hurt or something like that halfway through the game or something like that.
I never got to watch that game, so I don't know.
He went not this game, but I know the game last week. That dude went off. Didn't he have like 300 yards or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah, it was like 3 something.
Anyway, circling back to the Browns, those are my couple takes. I think we're playing a great brand of football right now. I think we're playing a very fundamental brand of football right now. I don't know anybody that had David Njoku for 2 touchdowns on their bet slip today. I sure as hell didn't.
I saw someone on X or Twitter, whatever, that they had a Njoku.
They're always there. Someone always has the slip. I just mean personally, I don't know anyone that fucking bet for David Njoku to get 2 touchdowns. So, good game, I guess. We had to Browns it up a little bit. But other than that, I think, like I said, good takeaways, really good takeaways from Joe Flacco. Great game. I love Njoku. Any chance that I see him to raise his stock, like to keep him as a tight end, because every once in a while he drops a shit ton of passes and he looks like ass and everyone wants to cut him, and I can't necessarily argue it. So anytime he has a great game, I'm like, all right, good for you, Njoku. I would like to keep you, and I would only like to keep you if you're going to benefit us. So keep doing that. That's my take on the Browns in the game today.
I was just looking at this, and I think this stat is interesting about the AFC North. There are 2 teams that are 4-0 against the NFC, and they're Baltimore and Cincinnati. Browns and Steelers both 2-2 against the NFC. That's probably the reason why the Bengals are still in the hunt.
Baltimore is a fake team too.
Baltimore's 6-3 against the AFC.
I wish Lamar Jackson would go somewhere else so I could root for him, because the dude's an absolute dog, but I just can't root for him. because he's from Baltimore.
But another thing that
whatever you want to say.
That's fair. I think another thing that we learned today in this game, home field matters, and the dog pound is back because this team is 6-1 at Cleveland Browns Stadium this year. I can't remember the last time that the Cleveland Browns legitimately had a competitive advantage at home, or any competitive advantage for that matter. They've sucked for as long as I've been alive. But to hear the dog pound barking was nuts.
One of my hottest takes in all of sports is that there's no real such thing as home field advantage.
The Dallas Cowboys beg to differ.
I don't think so.
They're 7-0 at home.
What is that? And how many Super Bowls have they won in the past 10 years? That has nothing to do with anything. No one cares about home. But that's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling you. Like nobody, I know what I get that. I get, okay, they're 7-0. Cool. Awesome. Does that translate into playoff wins?
I know a team I can mention right now that would. It's called Kansas City, because they are very loud, very loud. When you get them, you get them, whether it's a regular season atmosphere, a playoff atmosphere. That crowd gets absolutely ruckus, and you can argue they've won a couple Super Bowls in the last 5 years. So there's that.
It's also worth noting that
you're just talking about the crowd getting loud, though.
That's a part of a field advantage. That's what makes a field advantage, is the fact that you could deal with the elements, you can deal with the crowd noise. Okay. How can you handle that?
Me and Paul went to Detroit. How loud was that, Paul? Probably the loudest thing we've ever been to.
Arguably.
Did they win?
Well, no, but they
didn't even win.
Because they were probably ass.
Because that's the whole point. You're talking, okay, Jeff, and you're using the Chiefs as an argument, the defending Super Bowl champion. So you're going to talk about.
You also mentioned how does that go into Super Bowls or whatever when we talk about Dallas? Okay, so I give you a team where you have crowd noise, you deal with elements there, you deal with snow, you deal with cold, and they've won. So
but your argument about what I just said was that they're bad. So how can you argue that?
It's because you're picking. You pick like what? That's like saying, for example, like you choose like the worst team. It's like, yeah, okay, they could probably like who's to say?
That was the one I've been to. What do you want me to do?
I'm not saying. I'm saying, for example, like you look at the NFL though.
The Browns are loud as hell too. Every stadium's loud.
But they also
wait.
Other stuff too.
Everybody calm down. I have something that I'd like to point out here.
Phillies.
Yes, Philly, you can add into that because of the crowd. You can add in exactly what I've said. The elements, the crowd noise, it's stuff like that adds into it.
And they lost.
Okay, but here's the thing. We've all three been to a game.
Every team is going to lose, Jay. You act like no team should ever lose.
Calm down.
They broke the decibel record, though, and they went to the playoffs, and they still lost. My point being that home field doesn't really matter.
And that's where I disagree with you, because think about this. We have been to a Browns-Bengals game where there were more Bengals fans than Browns fans, and that is important because that changes the competitive advantage of the team on the field. When it feels like a road game, you have to adapt.
Did we win that game or did we lose that game?
We won that game.
So we won the game.
2019.
Won the game with more Bengals fans there.
Against the team that was literally the worst team in the NFL that year. By the way.
So we won. So we won the game. So you're Paul. Do you realize what you just told me? Right? You just fed me.
I'm telling you that anything that you can use to your advantage to win, including the field that you play on,
but they lost.
The amount of but having a guarantee that you're going to have 50 to 60,000 people screaming for you and not for your opponent is a big boost to your morale, to your confidence.
I never once said that there's not like some type of little type of boost. But the fact
you just wrote off competitive home field advantage completely.
There's not such thing as home field advantage. If you can show me, if there was some crazy fact that these teams win at home 80, 90% of the time. Sure. But guess what? You guys are like kind of being ridiculous. Sports are sports. Anything can happen. Doesn't matter what field you play on. Doesn't matter where you're at. I don't like, yeah, like you're right.
You say that, but then you've got Green Bay Packers fans that are diehard Green Bay Packers fans that would love to go to Lambeau Field because of that advantage.
I'm going to keep talking while you try to talk over me. But like while you play, like don't get me wrong, like it's easier to play with people cheering for you, not against you. But at the end of the day, the better team's going to win. The team
That's not true at all. Do you think Buffalo's better than Kansas City? Because they're not. They're the team that won today, and they're not the better team.
How do you figure?
I have the absolute perfect example.
For one, if Kadarius Toney had been an inch back, he would have won on a touchdown.
And if Scantling would have dropped that fucking pass, they would have won that other game. And if this dude would have done this, they would have won this other game. But they're not, because they're losing games. I don't like. What are these arguments right now? Like I don't get it.
Here's what I think a literal perfect example of where home field advantage matters. I think of a game. It was Penn State, Michigan. Penn State was at home. It was the whiteout. There's an infamous clip of
they called a timeout because it was super loud. We know, okay, we know what it was. Like,
but when you and here's the thing. Here's why
college sports.
Jay, hold on. Hold your horses for half a sec. Here's why when I keep mentioning the crowd, here's where the advantage comes into play. When your team is on defense, and you're going up against the offense, the offense it's going to take a lot. It's a lot harder for them to communicate, and you have the better chance of dealing with more mistakes, whether it's a snap exchange, whether it's just some sort of communication where you have to lose a timeout. That's where it becomes an advantage.
If you don't think in 2023 they don't have the best type of stuff in their helmets,
it doesn't matter. It's
I'll
still
do it better.
You're still going to have issues, Jay.
They have noise
still going
technology.
Okay, well, I guess this argument is just never going to go anywhere because
I've got one that I can absolutely 100% prove.
Because you give me something, and
okay, you're right. You're right. That's my bad.
That they have stuff in their helmet, and you're like, well,
and it's still because we still see it to this day. We still see where there's like, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. The crowd, I can't hear you. We still see this to this day in 2023. We still see it. But I guess I'm wrong. Okay,
I've got one that is absolutely 100% proven.
I don't.
This is what you're wanting, Jay.
Miscommunication, like absolutely proven game.
I'm with you, but I've got one that's 100% proven fact. The Miami Dolphins Stadium is built to be cooler on the Miami side and much, much hotter on the away side. About 30 degrees difference depending on the Sunday of the month that they're playing. It's so bad that the New England Patriots had to build their own air-conditioned bench and bring it with them to Miami because they had to play early in the season when it was going to be 90, 95 degrees. And on that particular sideline, the temperature was registering 120 degrees Fahrenheit. So to avoid heat exhaustion and potential death, they had to build their own unit to make sure that their guys stayed cool. So that's not a competitive advantage.
There's no sun on the field?
I'm not saying anything about the field. I'm talking about the sidelines where you recover, where you recuperate, where you get 5 seconds to 5 minutes to get yourself back to a normal state so that you can go back out there and do it again. And if let's say it's 60 degrees on one side and 90 degrees on the other side, I would rather be on the 60 degree side, wouldn't you?
I mean, yeah.
And that's a competitive advantage as a home field advantage.
Well, that sounds fucking illegal if you ask me.
It's not.
Right.
And it's statistically proven that the Miami Dolphins have used that to their advantage. And you can go look it up.
I believe you. Why would I hope you wouldn't go on this big old rant with something you just lied about. Otherwise, you'd look like a big idiot.
No, I knew about that because it was part of their renovations when they put that big ass roof on top of it. They built it specifically to do that.
My bottom line point is that, again, my hot take is just that at the end of the day, there's not a big home field advantage. There's some. I'm not saying there's none. And that right there would piss me off. I mean, I can't lie about that. That's kind of shitty, to be honest.
If it happened in Cleveland, you'd be loving it.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's the same thing I say about Draymond Green. I hate that motherfucker, but if he was on my team, I bet you I'd love him. But, I mean, I get it. I get all the arguments. I do. I get the communication. Like, I get all that. I'm not saying you guys are wrong. I'm not saying you guys are lying or making shit up. I just personally think at the end of the day, best team wins. You know, and the Bills and the Chiefs. The Bills and the Chiefs was a terrible example. Because right now, I think the Bills are better than the Chiefs. They played today, and the Bills won. I mean, what do you...
The best team wins. I'm sorry, weren't the Atlanta Braves and the LA Dodgers far and away better than the Texas Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks?
Not when they played?
The best team did not win. The hottest team won.
And at that point in time, would be the best team. I don't like... It's the same argument. Well, no. First of all, now you're arguing about something else.
I'm arguing sports.
If you play a game, if you and I play a game right now, today, regardless of the weather, regardless of our last 5-10 win streak, regardless of our home field split, regardless of the size of our penis, it doesn't really matter. If I win or if you win, that's who's better, right?
But you just argued that the best team always wins, and that's clearly not the case. The Browns went 1-15. We were not the best team that one day.
That's a completely different argument. That wasn't what I was arguing, but I do think so. I do think the best team wins. You want to argue ref calls and stuff like that? It's what I've always said. Don't leave it in the hands of the refs.
I'm not arguing that point at all. I think the referees have been far too aggressive on making themselves
refs
the game.
Terrible. Refs have been terrible. I completely agree. And they've affected way too many games that they should have or that they shouldn't have. I completely agree. But it's like police. Don't give them a reason. I don't know. Like, and I know the refs have been really bad. I don't really want to get into that argument because they have been all over all sports. They've been bad everywhere. So
can't argue that point.
Here's what I'm gonna say, by the way. Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid bitching about that offsides penalty, by the way. It was a flag. Shut the fuck up. It was a flag. You guys fucked up. It was a bad play, but that wasn't on the refs. That was on you guys.
Well, explain that.
Can
I seen Mahomes yelling, but I didn't see what happened.
Let's also point out the fact that offensive offsides is not a common occurrence. Normally when it's offsides, it's defense.
Well, so this year they've called it 11 times. So it was an emphasis going into this year. Offensive offsides were becoming more of a focal point. Just like, especially when you remember that very first game, the Lions Chiefs game. Remember how everyone was bitching about how the Chiefs left or right tackle was leaving early every play. So what did they do? They made it an emphasis, say, hey, we're going to watch out for this. And that's what they're doing. And the Chiefs just are mad that they got caught. It was a foul. It was, and it would be a different story if he checked with the line judge and said, hey, am I good? And he said yes, and then called it. Then that would be fucked up. But he did it. He never checked with the line judge either. And so therefore, yeah, it is a flag. It sucked that it happened on a touchdown play when it was ended up making a third or fourth and a mile. Yeah, but still, you messed up.
Not to mention it was an amazing play. Like
personally, as far as like flags and stuff go, I'm on the like let them play thing. But you also got like what am I trying to say here? You also I don't know. I don't know how I'm trying to put this. My words are escaping me.
But we got a comment here from Jamie. All four major sports reward the best team to hold field, court, or ice for the playoffs. Jay doesn't have an agreement because home field does matter. Case closed. And then says good night.
It'd be nice. It'd be nice.
It'd
be nice if you meant to say argument instead of agreement. You should probably grammar check before you try to hit someone like that.
Let's not call out our viewers for their grammar tonight. Good God.
Appreciate
Thanks,
you,
Dave.
Jamie.
And thank you to everybody watching.
I'm responding. All 4 major sports reward the best teams. Okay, but where do they play the championship at? Where do we play the Super Bowl at?
That's different because the
Where do we-
NFL
What
has
do you
official
say?
That's not different. It's different in football, yes.
That's the only one.
My very first argument was that home field advantage doesn't translate into championships or anything like that. Where's the Super Bowl played?
But the World Series is played in a home field. The NHL
we're
finals
talking
are played. The
about
NBA
football.
finals.
And switch this up after we've been talking about football the whole time.
You're not talking about just football. You're saying that home field advantage on any given surface doesn't matter. The best team will win. That is what I'm understanding it to be.
And how many games did the Diamondbacks win in the World Series?
1.
They won 1 game. So that home field advantage really worked out for them, huh?
Hey, they could have gotten swept. If that game played in Texas, they probably get wiped out.
What about the Braves? What about the Dodgers? None of that, because the best team wins. The best team wins every time. What about Game 7?
You know what?
What about Game 7 of the 2016 NBA Finals? Anyone? Can anyone tell me where that was played? Anyone?
You are like a next level troll. You know that, right?
No, because I feel like, first of all, I'm getting ganged up on, and I get aggressive when no, it's okay. It's okay. I'm just saying I get aggressive when I get ganged up on. And B, I'm not like saying you guys are wrong. There is definitely some advantages. I just don't think it's as big as some people think it is. I argue, and honestly, I think Jeff's point is the biggest point. Is the worst part is you can't hear each other, which sucks, and you can't communicate. And then plays are going to go wrong, and you're going to fumble or force or turnover or something like that. But I just at the end of best team's going to win at the end of the day.
Someone said LMFAO at this. So who are you laughing at? Are you agreeing with Jay, or are you agreeing with me and Paulie?
Well,
they said at this clown. So
realistically, there's a reason that
person who can't even put their name out here, they're gonna just hide behind who is this with the profile picture.
Holy Moses! Why are you attacking everybody?
Paul. Dude, don't be weird, Paul. They're literally trying to insult me. What am I supposed to do?
Well, who's to say that they're insulting you?
They might be insulting me. I'm wearing all orange.
You guys are great friends, but you both know who the fuck they're talking to.
Look, at the end of the day, there's a reason why you play as hard as you can, and that is to get home field advantage in the playoffs, all the way up until when you can't have it anymore. In the case of the NFL, that's the Super Bowl. So you want the championship game, the AFC or NFC championship game in your home field.
I'm not gonna again, I would like to express that there is no argument from me here that you want home field advantage. You want home field advantage. I'm not arguing that, hey, you might as well just not give a shit about it because it doesn't matter at all. That's not what I'm saying. I just, again, bottom line, best team wins. That's it. Let's move on. Unless Jeff's got another thing to add to it before we move on.
Well, I was going to point out that the remaining schedule for the Cleveland Browns, circling back to all of this, is that you've got Chicago coming into town next Sunday. The following Sunday, Christmas Eve in Houston. Then you've got the Thursday night game, Week 17 against the New York Jets. And then we wrap things up in Cincinnati in the Jungle at a to-be-determined date and time. Are the Browns a playoff team based on that remaining schedule?
Yes, as much as I hate to say it. And as we lost Jay there.
I'm right here.
Ow.
What the hell is going on?
I don't know. I should be back now, I think, right? Yeah,
there you go. There you go.
It was like reconnecting me or something.
That was silly. All right. Do we beat the Bears?
Hey, the Bears look good yesterday. They looked good against the Lions, who have been one of the better teams in the NFL.
I mean, you could argue the Lions are that team that you want to watch, and Dan Campbell for Coach of the Year to have taken that team to unprecedented success.
Yeah, they have been a very good team this year. Looking at this, and I think too, a lot of it has to. I'm looking at Justin Fields here today. Justin Fields, 19 of 33 for 223. Not that efficient. Was able to get a touchdown, but being able to use his legs, 12 for 58, and having a touchdown there. So he's got 2 touchdowns on the day. I think that's where having an advantage is for him. I think he's finding a way. I think he's been better. I think he's gotten a little bit too much shit maybe this year, but is he the greatest? Probably not, but he's not been bad at all. And then the Lions have been believing. They have been going with and believing in Dan Campbell, and they're playing hard, and they've been fun to watch this year whenever I've gotten a chance to watch them.
Does it bother anybody or maybe reassure you that the top rusher for the Bears this week was their quarterback?
No. I mean, it's in today's NFL, it's not.
I just see a quarterback in Justin Fields I'm just saying I see Justin Fields maybe being on the run a lot, and Myles Garrett likes to chase. He's got like a velociraptor approach.
I mean, you look at Lamar. How many times has Lamar been the leading rusher for them? It happens. I mean, it could be an advantage. It also, at once in a while, could be a disadvantage. But more times than not, when you have a quarterback who is able to move around and able to make plays with your legs, now what does that do? Now that puts one less guy that you're able to put out in coverage or send to you against them, because now you got to put out a spy, and so that gives up a better chance for you to possibly go and make a play with your arm rather than your legs. But then that's always something that they have to think about.
You look at a 5-8 Bears team, and you have to wonder if that has been a benefit to them. I think Justin Fields is a good quarterback. I think he's going to become something. I don't think it's going to be with the Bears, though.
There have been, especially over the last week or so, there's been a big thing about Pittsburgh trying to go and get Justin Fields. I'm not sure how much I believe in that. I really actually don't believe in it at all. But I mean, I am an Ohio State fan. But real quick, looking at Baltimore this year in terms of their leading rusher, Lamar has been their leading rusher for their team 1, 2, 3, 4 times this year.
Which is fine for a good team. But if you are under 500, that poses some questions.
It could also pose a question.
That's all I'm saying.
It could also pose a question of your offensive line is getting beat like a drum. And you have to go and try to make a play with your legs? Or could it be the scheme is not working out so well and receivers are not getting open, they're not getting separation, and the offensive line could only block for so long, so then what do you got to do? Now you got to try to go and make with your legs. I mean,
So, Jay, to bring you back in here because you've been rather mute, that all sounds very good for a Cleveland Browns defense that is just absolutely lights out for the most part.
Have they been lights out?
I mean, they are one of the top defenses in the NFL and have been all season. And it sounds like they're going to feast next Sunday against the Chicago Bears.
The Bears have been on a tear. They won. Yeah, they won today. Didn't they win last week too? Or am I wrong? Jeff?
Who? The Bears? I'm not sure.
I feel like if they didn't win last week, they've been on a couple of like back and forth a little bit. I feel like I could be entirely wrong, but they've been on a little bit of a surge. So I'm not as confident as I would have been at the beginning of the season.
They were actually coming off of a bye week in week 13, and then they had beaten the Vikings 12-10. Ironically, their last loss was to Detroit, so they avenged that loss.
So they're on a 2-0 streak right now.
They're on a 2-0 streak right now.
Yeah. See, so so I said they're on a little bit of a surge. And that game against Detroit wasn't. They didn't get smashed either, right?
The final on that one was
13.
31-26 was the loss in Detroit back in week
11.
Oh,
I thought we were talking about the game from yesterday.
No, I was just say that's what I'm saying. They lost to Detroit, but it was a good close game too. It wasn't like they got smashed or anything like that. So, I do agree though, is they do like to scramble around a lot, and Myles Garrett likes to eat up on that, so that's good for us. Then I also think hopefully if he's moving him around a lot, that he makes some bad throws and stuff like that. But because I'm trying to think, how's their run defense isn't that good either.
Who?
The Bears? Or am I wrong?
They're actually the second best rushing defense in the NFL.
Is it their pass defense? Really bad at one of them.
Yeah, their pass defense are probably ranked about they're in the 20s.
Okay.
So, which can be an advantage if you saw what happened with Joe Flacco.
They're the second best rush defense.
They average giving up 83.7 yards per game.
So who's the best? Whoever played the Raiders today has the best rush defense.
San Francisco does.
Yep. No, I don't know. Who played?
Yeah, San Francisco gives up 78.3 rushing yards per game.
Who played the Raiders today? Because I did extensive research on them, and that's the reason I went under on Josh Jacobs rushing.
Can't
remember who they played.
I
can't remember the Vikings.
Oh yeah, that was that real ugly
game. The 3-0 game. What a wow!
And the Vikings rush defense is pretty good too.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm not as like I said, not as confident about a win over the Bears as I would have been at the beginning of the season. However, still very doable. Probably means we'll lose. So there's that. I don't know. I think it'll be closer than we would like it to be, probably like with every other game, and I don't think it'll be crazy big. It'll probably be like 21-14 us.
I'm going to go with a 17-14 shootout victory. I think it's going to be a close game. I think a field goal is going to separate it, which congratulations to Dustin Hopkins. He just set, I believe it was the Cleveland Browns record for most field goals made in a single season with 31. And he's just been pretty well lights out this entire season. You have to imagine what this season would look like had we not gone and gotten D-Hop at the start of the season.
100-0 Bears.
I'm going to go bet on Justin Fields 3 rushing touchdowns right now.
Oh my God. Well, anything else before we switch gears on the NFL side of things?
I could say a lot. I might give something. You know what? This is a Cleveland-based show, and I know the one thing that they love is watching a Pittsburgh Steelers fan absolutely in shambles.
Hang on, let me go get my phone.
Mike Tomlin, you absolutely suck. I want you. I'm done with you. Kenny Pickett, I'm done with you. I want a new quarterback. It's you lose to two 2-10 football teams in the span of 4 days.
Yeah, that's a little stingy.
That literally made me want to lose out the rest of the year and look in the NFL draft, which I've already been starting to prep on.
I feel bad for you, Jeff, because us Cleveland Browns fans, we're used to this garbage. We're used to being a bad team that's just kind of chugging along, hoping that we hit gold and get that one big player that takes us to the promised land. Your team has 2 Super Bowls in your lifetime, as far as I'm aware.
Yes, 2 and been to 3.
You've been good. You've seen greatness. Now You're seeing the other side of it, which is the Browns side of it, where things just keep going catastrophically wrong.
This is the person. This is the person's franchise that you feel bad for.
I feel bad for our friend Jeff,
The
who
one
has
who's
been.
one who's witnessed 2 Super Bowls.
I feel bad for him now because he's
Like,
not
what
used
the
to this.
fuck are you saying right now, brother? Oh my goodness! You're talking about this fucking Twitter troll.
Me? Twitter troll.
Me? Drake.
Me. Twitter troll.
Look, he's such a troll. He's trolling right now.
I am not.
I'm the only saint on this panel.
I am an innocent child of God first and foremost.
Browns get like 1 win, and Jeff be like, "But Myles Garrett's fucking trash."
If anything, I literally admitted that he probably was going to win Defensive Player of the Year earlier this year.
No, you were not saying that earlier this year. By the time that
I said that during the most recent Browns Steelers game.
Okay, well, that's not earlier this year.
Yes, it is.
Like halfway, which I was just gonna say is about when you started saying it.
Because there was a span of, and still, you could still technically really make an argument for TJ Watt too, which I don't think he's going to win it, but there was really an argument for those two, like where they were neck and neck, and you wanted to see how they were going to play against each other. Myles had himself a hell of a game. TJ didn't do jack shit, and it's like, well, this I see where this is going to go. So there you go.
The real funny part is who else do you even consider? Max Crosby or the dude from the Lions? Who's the dude from the Lions?
Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, but I thought that was the Raiders quarterback.
I think when you talk about Defensive Player of the Year,
well, yeah. That's what I'm saying. You got to throw some other names in there, but you don't even consider those other two.
Well, no, you definitely consider Max Crosby. He is 1,000,000% in the conversation.
I said his name for a reason, but like I still don't even think he's on the same level as TJ or Myles Garrett. He's had a hell of a year. I'm not taking that away from him. The dude's having a crazy good year, and I like him. He's all tattooed like me. I like his little white boy. Like, I like the dude. But, like, I just personally don't. And I think before you tell me, I know he has better stats and this and that, or he has more sacks or something like that. Is that what you're looking up right now?
Well, no, I was actually going to say, you know who else no one has really talked about but needs to be added into this conversation is Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack 1,000,000% needs to be in this conversation. You said what?
I said, does he still play football? I didn't know.
Yeah, and he's currently the league leader in sacks at 15, 14 tackles for loss, 53 total tackles, and 5 passes defended, and 5 forced fumbles, which actually leads, if I'm not mistaken, leads the NFL. So he has been an absolute game wrecker for that team that's going to end up losing their head coach because he's going to get fired. And Justin Herbert's coming to the Steelers. I just had to throw that in there.
If you get Justin Herbert, I already think Justin Herbert's trash. So if you get Justin Herbert, I know you like him. Before you start going off, I know you like him. I know he has good yards. I just don't like him. I know Jeff's over here like, what the fuck is this motherfucker's problem tonight? But I don't.
See, it seems like you just hate everyone.
That's not true at all. I love me some Jalen Hurts. I love me some Joe Flacco. I love me some LeBron James. I love me some AD. I love me some Joel Embiid.
Fuck Joel Embiid.
For what?
I fucking hate that dude.
Like Justin Hurts. I feel like he's a little overrated. We share the same name, and I don't like him. That should tell you a lot. Like.
I also like Justin Herbert. He's a big griller, so.
All Justins secretly hate each other. You guys are on some sort of quest for like a Highlander thing where there can be only one Justin.
Me and the other Justin that I work with we're like the best team. Well, not the
For
best.
now, until you run him through with a spear or a sword or a knife, and then you're the only one left.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, you thought about that for far too long.
What?
I didn't even know what the hell you were saying. You're just talking nonsense.
Oh my god.
But
Speaking of nonsense, this is a great way to segue into our MLB discussion. Is Shohei Ohtani really worth $700 million?
can we talk about how that contract is worth more than a whole entire professional franchise, the Arizona Coyotes?
He gets $432,000 per game.
That's if he plays all 162.
And there's no chance that he's going to do that. He's going to sit. I mean, you look at that Dodgers team, it's loaded. It was loaded before Shohei got there. You had Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. You've got great pitching in Walker Buehler, who is going to be coming back from the injured list after a rough 2023. Like, the Dodgers didn't need Shohei Ohtani. My God, spread the wealth somewhere else. This is why, as much as I hate the idea, MLB desperately needs a salary cap, which the players will never agree to. But this should be the end of that, because $700 million? $700 million for a designated hitter? Good God.
I don't like that you're throwing in just designated hitter.
He hasn't played the field since 2021.
Also, pitches?
He's not pitching next year, and you don't know that he's
You
going to
act
return.
like, okay, he's not pitching in 1 year as of now.
That's
I mean,
he's 1/10 of his contract. 10% of his contract is strictly designated hitter.
You don't know.
He's still going to be very valuable in terms of hitting this year. Especially with the protection he's going to have in the lineup.
You don't
70 million.
Again, though. Like, what I'm assuming he probably will too, but we don't know that he's going to again.
Here's the thing, and this is something I noticed with Paulie.
Oh boy,
he hates big time. He hates every big time player. He hates all of it because the Cleveland Guardians will never get these players. So what does he do? So now he pulls out the I'm becoming an expert hater and just going to absolutely shit on everyone because we're not enjoying them.
I liked Ohtani. I liked Ohtani when he was with the Angels.
Never get the big time players. Hello, we just signed Austin Hedges, motherfucker.
To that massive contract, $4 million. That is 1/18 of our entire budget.
They said
Hedges.
They said he'll get $1 million a hit.
You're betting the under there, Justin?
I was mad when I read that because I'm like, they're fucking right. That's the worst part about it. He didn't even. I mean, I don't know. The dude left, got a ring, and is coming back.
I mean, yeah. I'm happy to have Austin Hedges guiding Bo Naylor because it'll give Bo Naylor a little bit more stability.
We have like 8 catchers, dude.
Yes, but now we have a World Series champion catcher in Austin Hedges who runs like the wind.
We don't need 8 catchers.
I'm going to field a whole goddamn team of catchers.
We're not even going to need catchers because we don't have any fucking pitchers.
Second base, catcher.
It pisses me off that the Dodgers were able to spend $70 million a year on one player and still are able to go out and get more. And we're going to trade off fucking Shane Bieber. I think, Jay, didn't you say this? Or it was, I think someone said this out of my friend group. It was the Dodgers are going to be able to spend $70 million on one player and be able to spend more while we're trying to save $12 million by trading off Shane Bieber, which, don't get me wrong, I'm still okay with, but still.
I've seen that on Twitter today, so that's probably what you're talking about.
There was also some discussion about Emmanuel Clase being on the market. That seems to have been more smoke than anything else.
I'll say that would have pissed me off.
Look, the problem right now is that the Cleveland Guardians are not making money from the Bally Sports deal that they agreed to, that they were counting on to pay for the players that they were investing in. So if you want to direct your anger anywhere, direct it at Diamond Sports Group, who decided not to do what they were
No.
contractually obligated to do,
No.
which is pay the teams.
No.
I agree with Jay here. No. First and foremost, we're not talking about Bob Nutting of the Pittsburgh Pirates here. We're talking about the fourth richest owner in out of the 30 Major League Baseball owners.
Boy, did I know
He's
that was coming.
choosing not to spend. He's choosing to not do it. He has the capabilities of doing it. He simply won't. And that's the issue with, let's say, 75, 80% of these managers when it comes to the MLB. They can, they won't. And that's the problem. And that's why I put out a tweet earlier in the week saying that there needs to be a salary floor on top of a cap. Will it ever happen? I probably have a better chance of getting Mark Wahlberg's body in 5 minutes than that happening. But we need some sort of floor. Because here's the reason why. And this is what I love about the National Football League here. The National Football League, there is a floor. I don't think a lot of people realize that. There is an actual salary floor, and you have a hard cap.
Hold on. I got one important sidebar that I'm asking you to explain. What is the difference between floor and cap?
So a salary floor means, so like if you have a salary floor of, let's say, $130 million, each team must spend at least $130 million in payroll. You cannot spend less than that number.
Oh, the MLB doesn't have a floor?
No. And the cap is obviously you can't spend over that.
Yeah, I didn't know floor had a term. I knew that. I didn't know that was okay. All right, okay.
Yeah, so and hold on, let me finish off what I'm going to say about NFL, and that's why I'm going to transition this into MLB. The NFL has a salary floor and they have a hard salary cap. It doesn't matter if your team is the Dallas Cowboys, if your team is the Jacksonville Jaguars. You have an equal chance of getting absolutely everybody based off, and it doesn't matter. I mean, to a tiny extent it does, but not like it does with Major League Baseball and the NBA. About market. It's about, using your assets to the best of your ability to try to build a team. The NBA, you deal with the market a little bit more, but they still have a cap, and a soft cap, and if you go over it, you have to spend so much money in luxury tax. So if you're not like the Golden State Warriors of 2017, it doesn't make sense to go over it. Major League Baseball doesn't have that. So what does that do? That automatically eliminates 85% of these teams from going out to getting at almost any of these big-time free agents. When Shohei Ohtani became a free agent, you were immediately able to eliminate 85% of those teams. You automatically knew the Dodgers were going to be involved, the Yankees were going to be involved, the Mets were going to be involved, probably the Cubs, and maybe one or two other teams. Other than that, there was not a chance in hell that the Guardians, the Angels, or the Guardians, the Pirates, the Reds, or the not the Reds.
You're right about that
example.
Chance that the Angels were keeping them either.
The Royals, the Rays, none of those teams were ever going to have a chance at him because of the money involved.
So it comes down to two factors.
Which in turn, I'm sorry, Paul. Just one more thing to say. Which in turn makes me like Shohei less. Understand it's not his fault before you say that. But in terms, it makes me like him less.
And that's fair. A lot of this comes down to ROI, return on investment. And since this is a business, first and foremost, would you put money into something that is not profitable or is not going to generate a significant return on investment? Hey, you should know all about this. You've been hitting the books hard trying to make money on those bets. You're not going to bet on something that's absolutely not going to happen.
Well,
sure you do. That's why them 15-leg parlays.
I was just going to say that's how you turn $1 into $2,000.
Okay, but you're not going to bet on Austin Hedges to hit 60 home runs this year. That's not going to fucking happen.
Why not? That's how you turn $1 into $2,000.
Okay. I want you to bet on that right now. Put it on your FanDuel.
What I want to say is that's not something that you would put an actual amount of money on. Because no, I would not.
If it happens, great. But if it doesn't happen, Okay, I didn't expect
actually,
it.
that plays right into your point. Is that my return on investment for $1 would be great, but for $100, probably not going to do that. That probably wouldn't be a great return because it's probably not going to happen.
Try
But for
$4 million.
yeah, no. But that's not what they're betting on. They're not betting on Austin Hedges to hit 60 home runs. They're betting on Austin Hedges to do exactly what you said earlier, which is train the youngins, bring back some morale, because they probably lost a shit ton of it when they got rid of them in the first place.
You could argue that point.
They also got rid of, other than Jose, who, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Jose speaks English whatsoever.
Very, very, very little.
Un poquito.
Ay, caramba.
Who's our locker room leader? Miles Straw? The injured Tristan McKenzie? So that's what I'm saying. So, I think, and I said that from the very flipping beginning when we got rid of him. Does he swing, as Jeff's famous line, does he swing a pool noodle for a bat? Yes. Yes, he does. He sure as hell does. But he makes up for a lot of it. The whole argument last year about benching Miles Straw was he's not making his return back in defense anymore. You never had that argument with Hedges. Hedges made his worth in his catching. He made his worth in his framing. He made his worth in his defense. And he made his worth where I think the most was in calling the game. So, that, again, is what pissed me off when we lost him. Right now, we do need a leader. We do need blah, 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 blah. But what we really need is a bat. And that is not what Austin Hedges offers us.
Can't argue that point at all. And I'm happy to see Austin Hedges back. I was a fan of Austin Hedges before he left the last time. I've said that.
Buy his jersey this time.
Because he's a defensive catcher. But you hit the nail on the head there. He is one of those locker room guys that you need in a locker room for stability and energy. The reason why the Texas Rangers were celebrating so much, in addition to winning the World Series, was because of a quote. I think it went something along the lines of, "Hey, Hedgie, what's the number written on your ass?" And that came from the manager, Bruce Bochy, during one of their championship celebrations this past season. So if you're telling me that Austin Hedges is going to be here and he's going to help solidify a locker room that is kind of in turmoil, if you will, because we don't have the stability that we had of Terry Francona, of any of these coaches. Like half the coaching staff, 3/4 of the coaching staff is brand new. The only person who survived essentially is Sandy Alomar. So there's a lot of questions in there, and you want
nobody knows what happened. Am I the only one that is just still we don't know what the hell happened?
With what?
With Tito.
He retired.
Why?
He wanted to retire. Health reasons. Yeah.
Is that what he said?
He's mentioned that his health was a concern and that he needs to have surgery.
The reason I retired is because I'm not...
He didn't... He's never said the word retire. Let's be clear about that.
That's what I'm driving at here. Is it was just kind of oh, we don't even know if we want to go to this game or not because I don't necessarily know if he's actually retiring. I'm kind of PO'd about the whole situation. I love Tito as much as I bitched about him, and you guys can say it because I know you want to, and I've complained about him multiple times, but at the end of the day, I do love Tito, and I think he's a great manager. So I wish him the best health, but again, it's just, I don't know, it just, what the heck happened?
My concern was everybody from the coaching staff decided to leave. You lost Sarba to the Mets, and he's in the exact same position that he was in Cleveland. It wasn't even a promotion. He just went to another team to do the same damn thing. That was a great concern for me.
Pushing forward with Jeff's point, maybe there's something else that we're not understanding right now, or they're just not saying out loud.
That's a very real possibility.
It's a concern. Maybe they're sick of it. Maybe they're sick of it too. Maybe Tito realistically weighed his options and didn't want to tell the fans, "Hey, I don't think the owner cares enough about us for me to risk my health anymore. Because you think if he truly believed in his name is Dolan, right? I always forget his name because I want to remember. Fuck that dude.
I've met him. He's a good guy.
You don't think
Bitch.
and we're live. I don't know. Again, this is whole mystery because we don't really know. But I don't know. I guess it begs that question: is do you think maybe he was fed up with it too and was just like, you're not like I love this team and I'm literally dying for this team, but I don't think I can anymore if you're not going to put forth the same effort that I'm putting forth. And all I'm asking for you to do is spend your money. You don't even got to freaking do anything. Like, and I know that's, spend your money. Like, sure. Like you go spend your money. Like I don't have money to play players, but like, I don't know. Again, that's exactly what I'm saying is that I feel like we don't know. And maybe I do feel like we're owed a little bit of an explanation. I'm not owed an explanation on Tito's personal life or anything like that, but I am a hardworking, paying fan. I do support you guys. I don't know. It's just one of those things that I'm just a little like, what happened? I don't know.
I'm eager to see what Stephen Vogt does. I don't know what to expect here. I've said from the beginning, I think this is going to be a 60-win season. I think we are in a serious rebuild, and I think the only piece that's going to be there is going to be Jose.
60 wins?
60 wins. That's my low. I'm willing to take it up to 60.
All right, well, how many wins are the Pirates going to have? Wait, if Paulie says we're going to have 60 wins, that means we're only going to have 60 losses.
One other thing I want to point out that is getting lost in the shuffle, and I know you guys are both going to look at me like I'm stupid, but
I do that anyway.
I know you do. Even though there is not a salary cap, there is a salary penalty.
Oh, I know that.
And that is important because that definitely affected the Cleveland Guardians. And I don't think anybody is really thinking about this. Because of the salary penalty, the Yankees, the Mets, and the Padres overspent. So they fell out of the top 6 in the MLB draft pool. They weren't allowed to be in the top 6. That put 3 teams into the top 6 that weren't necessarily supposed to be there. One of those 3 teams was your Cleveland Guardians, who won the number 1 pick with a 2% chance.
Great. He's going to be a Yankee in 6 years whenever he becomes in the league.
I get that it's not the best situation, but the Yankees, Mets, and Padres fell to about the 20 range.
I don't think they really care
picks.
about where they're at in the draft.
I'm not saying they do. I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying there is something there, and it's not a bad system if we can work it a little bit better. Because for a fact, MLB, more than any other league, covets draft picks that they can build and put in their farm system and let grow for 3 to 5 years, and then you have a superstar.
You know what's crazy is we're going to have to start rooting for the Yankees.
I'm not. They have Juan Soto. Screw that.
I might have to.
No, you're not. We have a segment on the show, remember?
It's either going to be the Yankees or the Dodgers. And as much as I like the Dodgers more than I like the Yankees, we're on the East Coast. So we got to stick with our boys. Not to mention they're A and Dodgers are NL.
My co-host is a Yankee fan on the Renegade Roundtable podcast. Absolutely not.
No, but I'm just saying if it's going to be Yankees versus Dodgers, who are you taking?
Dodgers.
I'm rooting for Game 7.
I knew Paul was going to say something stupid. I'm hoping both their planes crash on the way there.
Oh, that's horrible.
Into each other.
That would be even worse. That makes me sound like some sort of evil being who should be twirling a mustache going, yes, ha ha ha.
Well, you are evil, so.
Oh, yeah, I'm evil. I didn't just wish horrible things on the Dodgers. Oh, my God, I knew you were going to say that.
You don't even
I think if we could aggressively push towards a more floor ceiling in baseball, I think we'll be a lot better off. But the players are 100% never going to go for it because this deal happened. I mean, you pay somebody $70 million just to hit. $70 million for 1 year to hit. That's ungodly. And if that arm does not come back for Shohei Ohtani, you are paying him $700 million to hit. He is not a $700 million hitter. He's not. I don't know that there is one. Now, that's not to say if he pitches to the same level that he did before the surgery, that he doesn't deserve the contract. I'm not going to deny that at all. If he is going to pitch and hit for $700 million, Dodgers got a deal because I easily said $750, and that was being conservative. But you know he's not going to pitch in 2024. You don't know what you're getting in 2025 and 2026.
I know what I'm getting in 2025. GTA 6.
Damn right.
Wow. I did not see that coming.
Damn right we are.
It does look impressive. The entire state of Florida, I mean, Vice City looks pretty accurate.
Yeah, I gotta. That's another reason. After I buy Alice Switch, I gotta start making my bets up for my P5.
Yeah, I definitely am getting myself a P5 next year because I have been, even though it's ironic. So obviously, if anyone doesn't know, because I haven't been on the show, in a while. I 6 weeks ago had Achilles tendon surgery, so while I had some downtime, I came out of retirement for a little bit in terms of video games, which I've since kind of gone back into retirement because it's NFL draft prep season for me. But
he had the Terry Funk retirement tour.
It's NFL draft prep season. The fucking regular season still got like 5, 6.
Do you realize how
He's sitting
much
to these games going, oh man, he's going to be great.
Paulie has seen it.
I get it. No, I completely understand. And the only way you're gonna get the show that you do is by starting now. I more power to you because I personally find the draft a little boring. So I don't know.
Respect to you, Jeff.
I don't know how you find it so interesting. Yes, definite respect.
I've done the draft with Jeff 4 years, and I get why some people might not like it or might think it's boring, but it is exciting to look at a board of names and go, where is that guy going to go?
I guess
what
it would
fits for him.
And
it's kind of like gambling.
Well, I mean, you can gamble on it. I guess it's just kind of the things that, like, half those people aren't going to matter in like 2-3 years. Like, so, and I don't know. Like, I think for half, but you know what I mean. Like,
I think for me is, especially since I have gotten into the content creating game, it's been my baby, honestly, where you go and I watched the Senior Bowl, I watched the Combine, I watched the Pro Days, we do mock drafts, I get to watch these players, I watch their film. It is a shit ton of fun in terms of watching possibly the next stars of the NFL and see how they were like in college and, get drafted into the NFL, because it's a fun game of, like, for an example, I'll just throw out a random player. We'll throw out Marvin Harrison Jr. from Ohio State. Okay, do we think that he's going to go here or here?
Man, you beat me to it, Paul.
You said what?
He said random player.
Well, that was just the first player that popped up in my head.
It wasn't even the Heisman Trophy winner. You went straight Buckeye.
Do you want me to give you a random ass player that'll go in the first round this year?
We believe you.
No. Give me a random player that in 6 months, when the draft happens, I can pull this video back up and go, he was effing right.
Amarius Mims, offensive tackle from Georgia.
What about him?
There you go.
That he will go in the first round.
Is that a bet? I'll put that in right now.
Chop Robinson, edge rusher from Penn State.
I feel like we should put like the 1-800-GAMBLER at the bottom of this thing. My God.
Cooper DeWan, corner from Iowa.
You only call that number if you lose money.
Oh my God. See, you guys are excited about Grand Theft Auto 6 in 2025. I'm excited for college football 2024 because I don't know about you guys. While I might have played Madden back in the day, my game
Adonai
was
Mitchell, wide receiver from Texas.
NCAA football was
Who do you
my
think?
game.
Who do you think is the best team in NCAA football?
Patrick
Like
Paul, offensive tackle from Houston.
What?
Him. That one guy makes up a whole team.
Dallas Turner, defensive end or outside linebacker from Alabama.
Well, since we're talking college, I guess we should talk about the elephant in the room there. Alabama, Michigan.
Roll Tide, baby.
I don't think anyone really cares to talk about that. And on a Cleveland podcast. I mean, what do we give a shit about? What do we give a shit about either one of those two teams?
Would you want to see Michigan make it all the way to the championship game and then get beaten, or just get wiped out?
No.
I'm not watching. I don't give a shit.
Oh, I will. I'll watch.
He's
I'm
gonna
be a big ass Alabama fan.
He's gonna be watching with his notepad, going, "Oh, look at that guy! He's gonna make a great nose."
Hey, I will say there are definitely a couple players in that game that are going to end up being first round picks. You have Terrion Arnold, who's a corner. Kool-Aid McKinstry from Alabama. He's another corner. What about Dallas Turner? He's an edge rusher from Alabama. How about J.C. Latham? He's an offensive tackle from Alabama.
So,
you have J.J. McCarthy, who's a corner or a quarterback. You have Blake Corum. Yeah, I could go.
Well, we don't care about that championship. What I do care about is that LeBron James is the best basketball player ever. He's better than MJ, and it's a fact because MJ has never won an in-season tournament.
You know what? He does have a point there.
Nor has he ever won an in-season tournament MVP. LeBron James has both of those.
I can't argue that point, unfortunately. God help me, I would like to, but there's nothing that I can argue against that.
LeBron James,
you no good bastard.
LeBron James has 4.5 rings.
4.5? The Lakers aren't even hanging a banner for this damn thing. It means nothing. Oh yeah, they already said they're not hanging a banner.
Several key takeaways from that game that you or other viewers may not have heard. First of all, every single winner on every single member of the roster on the winning team gets $500,000.
Yes, that is one of the benefits to this thing.
That is if you're LeBron James, probably don't care that much about it. If you're this young guy that just got drafted this year, probably care a lot about that.
In California taxes, they're about a net probably $230.
I'm sorry. Do you have $230,000?
I'm just. That was more of a joke about California taxes than anything.
No, I'm just saying. I'd still take the $230,000.
You're talking to the guy who is gambling everything to get a PlayStation 5 and a Nintendo Switch.
Everything. Y'all making me sound like a goddamn addict. Like I don't know what I'm doing. Like,
hi, my name is Justin Gross, and I am addicted.
And I make motherfucking money.
Hi, Justin.
There are so many things that we could rip from this video that will be.
The second thing.
My God.
Is I can't remember the player. Jeff, I don't know if you saw this or not. If you read
Rasho Nesterovic.
Is that the one?
No, that's just a random ass player that I just pulled out of my ass.
But there was a player who had a certain stipulation, and I don't know if it was for the in-tournament season championship specifically or whatnot, but he had a 42% contract increase for winning that tournament.
Yeah, I would have zero clue.
So, just saying, I don't want to say against this tournament, but I was a little bit like, what the hell is this? Like,
it's because we haven't seen it yet. And I was the same way. I was like, yeah, I don't give a damn until you start to see it. And it's like, okay, you know what? We might be onto something here.
It was definitely, it made for some fun games. If you watched any of the games were pretty fun. I don't know.
The courts were awful.
Yeah, would you let me finish my damn sentence? That was literally what I'm saying.
No.
Sorry.
You didn't watch none of it, Paul.
I did. I watched the Indianapolis eyesore.
You didn't watch a single minute of that.
How dare you, sir? How dare you claim that I have not seen a single second of basketball? That is
those courts
unbelievable.
Those courts are very ugly. The ones that were God help me. I don't know the word I'm looking for here, but like what do you call colors like black, gray, white, just like
neutral?
Okay. Those courts weren't bad. Those courts were all right. The bright colors that I turned on my TV and almost gave me a headache. I was like, dude, and I hate to sound like an old man, but I was like, what the fuck is this?
You sound like a Kevin.
And the final one they did.
By the way, yes, I called you out, Kevin.
The finals one that they just did. I'm gonna keep talking, Kevin, so you can ignore that.
I don't know what he's calling out. I gotta go double check this.
What? The finals.
I'm calling out Kevin Sleds, by the way. I'm just busting balls.
The court that they played the finals on, the last 2 games, was like the ugliest court, which was even worse. It was like the colors of our background right here, but the way they were streaked were just I don't know. I thought it was terrible. However, again, it was very cool. I thought, just like Jeff said, once the tournament got underway, it was a little bit more interesting than I thought. It was nice to watch a young breakout team like Indiana show themselves. Like Tyrese Halliburton almost made himself damn near a household name after this tournament. People didn't really know who he was. Did you know who he was before this?
Oh, Paul? Absolutely, I did.
Not you, Jeff. Paul?
I was aware of him, but it wasn't like a star in the making kind of thing. He definitely he springboarded.
Yeah.
Here's my argument here. There's a way we can do this in-season tournament without doing it the way we did it, and it's to do away with the All-Star game. Because we could all agree the All-Star game in the NBA is one of the worst. It has no value. It has no meaning. It doesn't do anything.
I made $500 off the All-Star game last year, so the All-Star game can keep going.
And I'm going to make a comment as someone who has attended an All-Star game in the NBA. It was fun as fuck to watch in person.
Okay, but it means nothing. Here's my suggestion. We make the All-Star game weekend. We keep the first part of it with the skills challenge and the dunk contest because those are classic staples of All-Star weekend. But you make the finals of the in-season tournament that game. And you make it the only game in town. You make it the only game that's happening.
If you want to make it mean something here, if you want to make the All-Star game matter, do what MLB did a few years ago.
Everyone should do that.
The East versus West. Whoever wins that team is going to get the home court advantage during the World Series.
You know why they do that? Because there's no such thing as home field advantage.
And we circled back. My God in heaven. Before we leave for this evening, as we thank everybody for joining us on Double Play CLE.
The MLB literally left home field advantage for their championship game up to the decision of an all-star game.
What I'm trying to say is that's how you would be able to make the all-star game matter. But it wasn't necessarily. There was no reason why the Guardians, who were nowhere near as good as the Cubs that year, should have had a home field advantage. The Cubs easily have had home field advantage.
And you know what?
Might have changed the whole course of the World Series.
We lost that fucking game at home, didn't we?
No, we got fucked in that game.
It's almost like 2016.
You know what? Here's what I never got to say this point about the home field advantage.
Both won.
Oh my God.
To me, I don't think home field advantage in Major League Baseball matters as much. And to that point, I agreed with Jay. NFL, I totally disagree. I think there is. College football, totally disagree. I think there is.
That's funny. That's funny you say that because I would argue that the biggest what am I trying to say here? The biggest, when you were talking about communication and not being able to hear, I feel like affects baseball players the most because they're super far away from each other, like the catcher and the pitcher. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they already naturally have they use hand signals.
Hey yo,
Your microphone just went weird.
Why you sound like you're in the other room?
Hold on.
Jeff has decided to go to the restroom.
He sounded like he was talking from all the way over here.
Okay, how about now?
Nah, all good.
Okay, what happened was my thing accidentally went off for half a sec, and then it connected to my webcam as the camera and my microphone.
Funny.
Go ahead with whatever the hell it was you were saying.
But no, in terms of that, Major League Baseball, they use hand signal. I mean, well, they did. Now they have
PitchCom,
which I can't wait to see how much we'll see about that until there's issues with that. But
it's issues with it all season. It was fucking up left and right.
But at that, it was like you use hand signals, so 1 fastball, 2 changeup, whatever the hell it is. So it didn't matter if it was 100,000 billion quadrillion decibels. You were able to see that yes, this is the fuck you pitch, or buy one get one
good.
free.
Good to know the Terminator is still alive.
But
you don't think crowd noise truly affects their timing?
Yes,
very slightly.
If someone's, I know this is the most.
If you're a bitch, maybe.
But if someone's the hey, bad,
nah.
I know
I think they've heard that. I think that.
I know for years, but still, I've had my kids for years, and they still annoy me here and there.
No one, unless you're Johnny Cueto in that game in Pittsburgh, where Johnny Cueto's a little bitch, by the way. Unless
the Cincinnati Reds against the Pittsburgh Pirates in the postseason.
Unless it's one of those situations, well then, other than that, I think in baseball, I don't really see a home field advantage as much. NFL, college football, 1,000,000,000% I see it. NBA, I think there is a little bit, maybe not as much as the NFL, but I do think there is. In certain situations,
NFL's definitely probably, I would have to agree, the biggest margin, because like you said, saying a play, you only got so much time to say the play. Someone mishears the play. Someone runs the wrong route. There's a turnover, yada, 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 yada. In basketball, that happens. There's a turnover. It might cost you 2 points. It's not going to cost you potentially the game. So on and so forth.
Depends on when those 2 points are.
Now that we have come full circle, I want to again reiterate that I do understand and believe that there is such thing as home field advantage. That there are certain things. I'm just, as a hot take, which I understand from the comments from you guys that it's a hot take. I just don't think it matters as much as some people think it does.
Okay, but here's the point I was trying to get at. If you're telling me that an AFC Championship game in Cleveland with the dog pound barking the way they have been all season would not be an advantage, you're absolutely crazy.
I'm not saying, and again, that's what I said earlier. I'm not even close to arguing the fact that I'm not going to say you don't want home field. You want home field. That's very clear. And if anyone other than these two sitting here know me, would know one of my other huge arguments for sports is always momentum. So you're kind of butting heads here with your arguments. And I don't know. I said what I said. I'm not going to say it another 5 times. I think the Miami thing though, that's legit trash. That should be looked into. That's fucked up.
They've had that stadium for fucking 7, 8, 10 years or something like that.
Did you know that?
Yeah. Fuck yeah, I did.
I didn't know that. I've never heard of that until Paul just told me that today. Never heard of that.
And with that, we will bring it to a close with our My One Thing.
Actually, no, you forgot. Fuck the Yankees.
Well, we speed bumped over that a little bit earlier.
We have to make the official statement of this segment is also called "Fuck the Yankees." You got Juan Soto. It doesn't fucking matter. Your asses are still getting bounced in the DS or CS. You ain't make it to the World Series. So do me a favor. Suck it.
Wow, we actually got that one on video.
I feel like they have a lot more problems than a bat. So, whatever.
Carlos Rodon would be my biggest concern because that's one of their aces other than Garrett Cole, and he looked like trash, as one of my
You got
sports would say.
What's his face even coming back? Drunky? Domingo?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I think he's in some sort of rehabilitation facility or something to that effect.
And personally,
he stepped away from the team.
Personally, my number one problem with the Yankees that I see is fucking Aaron Boone. In my opinion. In my opinion.
I'm going to tell you that while I don't disagree with you, the biggest problem with the New York Yankees right now is Brian Cashman, their GM.
Okay, well, same thing. So the management,
their entire front office could deserve an overhaul because right now they're just stepping on each other's toes.
No. So let them stay that way because here we like to say, "Fuck the Yankees." So my one thing this week is to hopefully make some money to buy my kids some Christmas presents and pay some bills. And that's really it. I don't, as far as if we're going into sports and everything like that, I would like the Cavs to go on like a win streak because the Cavs have been up and down and they are not the whole Donovan Mitchell thing. And it scares me because we're a damn decent team right now and I don't want it to break down. And we're this close to that happening. So that's going to suck. So my one thing is that hopefully the Cavs figure themselves out and we go on like a little streak because nothing brings the locker room together like winning. So,
that's fair. Jeff, what have you got for my one thing?
My one thing is that I want to walk better.
I knew you were going to say some shit like that. I knew he was going to say some shit
My one thing is that to make sure that I work on this week, not walking like a freaking penguin.
Hey, at least
could you do us a favor and like record you walking like a penguin? We could use that for content creation purposes.
You know what? Here, I actually got a gift for you guys. Something. It's right here in my pocket. It's one of those.
We get to see.
My one thing is supposed to be positive.
All right, so there's that, and then my one thing in sports, I want the Steelers to lose out so we could get a better draft pick. So hashtag for the shoe.
Tank for Zion.
Justin, you were saying something before you got interrupted.
I said tank for Zion. That's all I said.
Oh my God. You two are terrible. So I'm going to do something nice. I'm going to send some love to one of our fellow podcasts out here. The Pile Driver podcast, Dean and Mike, you know them. They're covering wrestling every single week on the indies. And they had a really cool moment at Mega Championship Wrestling's 25th anniversary show this past Saturday. They actually had a banner hanging at ringside. I have been a big proponent of these guys since they decided to start a wrestling podcast. And I'm very happy to see my boys making moves, doing what it needs to be done to get ahead and make their podcast one of the top wrestling podcasts in all of Northeast Ohio. If you haven't had a chance to check them out, they're right here on Believeland Media, and they are awesome. They're also both diehard Browns fans, so they'll talk Browns stuff too. And I'm just happy for them because I know how hard they've worked. I know how far they've come with this. So to have a banner hanging at one of the top promotions on the indie circuit is a huge, huge step for them. And with that, I can click this button. I've been waiting all show to do that again. And with that, we say good night, farewell, so long. We appreciate you joining us for Double Play CLE, and we hope to see you again sometime very, very soon. Good night, everybody.
Sound like Tom Hamilton there.